Today, brought to you today, live on camera. Only kidding. Yes, everything's not as it seems. There was no bullet in the gun. You're all right. I'm still here. I'm not a ghost. Don't worry about it. Calm down. Okay? Just chill out. Take a chill pill. You know, you see it loads of times in films, okay? Yeah, there's no bullet in it. Look, no bullet. Nothing in there. Hang on, let me see if I can remember how to do this. See, empty. Rishi Sunak claims he was gagged over negative effects of COVID lockdowns and scientists had too much influence over decision making. This is in Sky News. Date is August the 25th, Thursday 2022. You know, this has been something us conspiracy theorists were informing people about. Also, we were doing lots of videos concerning lockdowns. The United States Marines also did their own lockdown study and found, well, I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to let you dig out that material for yourself. Do a little bit of your own research. I've done a video on that. Maybe you'll find it in my videos. Or a simple DuckDuckGo search. Yeah, that alternative to Google so you can't get tracked or you don't get tracked because Google are watching everything that you're doing. A simple search in DuckDuckGo. Or if you still like being enslaved to your masters, use Google. United States Marines lockdown. Okay, I'm sure it'll come up and you'll be very surprised what you find. Well, actually, you won't, because some people just, it doesn't matter what you tell them, what scientific studies you present to them. They've got presuppositions and they'll stick with them no matter what. You know why? Because they've been watching the BBC News. I've just lost my shoe. Anyway, Rishi Sunak has said scientists had too much influence over certificate of vaccine identification decision making, and it was wrong to scare people about the need for lockdowns. Yet he says it was wrong to scare people about the need for lockdowns. Woo! You know, okay, we might not agree with his politics and whatever, but come on, folks. He's not going to lie, is he? Why would he stick his neck out on the chopper? Rishi Sunak has said it was wrong to empower scientists during the pandemic and claimed lockdown trade-offs were never properly discussed. In an interview for The Spectator on the inside story of lockdown, the former Chancellor had attacked the scientific advisory group, SAGE, for emergency, that's SAGE, for having too much influence over government decision-making during the COVID crisis. Well, I think we in the know, us conspiracy theorists who have been pumping out this information in our mother's basements for the past 2 years and were banned from certain social media groups, banned from YouTube, etc. And we had to start setting up other channels on other social networking sites. We've been telling you this. We have been the ones who have stuck our necks out in the past, prepared to stand up and fight for freedom, prepared to stand up and fight for truth. My question to Mr. Sunak is, why did he not go to the papers with this? Or would it have been, conspiracy theorist Mr. Sunak, you're not going to print this. In fact, you're going to go to prison. You're going to get cancelled, Mr. Sunak. Maybe he felt it wasn't the time and that was what would have happened to him. And maybe he feels now it's the right time. Probably the latter. But anyway, fair play to him. He's come up with it and said it. I wonder what kind of backlash he's going to get. He claims he was banned. Oh, look, he claimed he was banned from discussing the negative side effects of the draconian restrictions the nation lived under, such as the NHS backlog and exam chaos, and that minutes of SAGE meetings often edited out dissenting voices. You know, as I read through this, I've not read through this actually. I've read briefly over it, you know, and I thought, no, I'm going to do this video as I'm going through it for the first time. And I've not read that paragraph, and it correlates with what I've just said about cancel culture and being cancelled. He might be comfortable. He's ready. He said there. And not only that, dissenters were edited out from the meetings. Now, if you're writing minutes in a meeting and you don't put everything that was discussed in there, then that's censorship. And that's what happened. And he's telling us we experienced censorship. Excuse me. Just been drinking tea. And he said decisions during the pandemic were typically reached after ministers were showing gloomy scientific analysis pointing to horrifying scenarios that will come to pass if lockdown was not imposed or extended. But it was not clear how these all-important scenarios have been calculated. I've got to say, I'm giving utmost respect to Rishi Sunak here. 100% Rishi Sunak, okay? You would have been counselled at the start, you said that, and you dissenting voices were locked out and all this kind of things. But fair play, Rishi Sunak, you put your head on the block now and you've said this. 100% respect. In the article, Mr Sunak said, we didn't talk at all about missed doctors' appointments or the backlog building in the NHS in a massive way. That was never part of it. It wasn't never part of it because it's all part of the World Economic Forum. Billy Gates and Klaus Schwab and his merry band who have used this to bring about, because they had a global exercise, I think it was something like in 2020, going through scenarios and how it would be administered on a global scale, and it used a virus. And guess what, folks? In 2019 and in 2020, time goes so quick, we get what happened, a global pandemic pushed on the world. And you might say, well, it was a pandemic, it was global. Yeah, it was global. Well, pandemic's another pandemic maybe, but it was a 99 plus survivor virus, even to the most vulnerable. Even government scientists were saying that. Chris Whitty said it to Cheshire College in 2020. He said, even if you're in the most vulnerable group, the chances of you dying for this are minimalistic. And yet they still impose lockdowns. Bigger picture, folks. See the bigger picture. Globalisation, World Economic Forum, Great Reset, Klaus Schwab. You think you're voting people into government in this country. You may be voting them into public office if they get in. But I'm telling you now, this demonstrates that, as well as other videos that I've done, and we know other people have spoken about this and been cancelled. There's a shadow government, and they are the ones who really control what is going on. Whoever wrote the minutes for the SAGE meetings condensing its discussions into guidance for government would set the policy of the nation. No one, not even the cabinet members, would know how these decisions were reached. So you've got scientists setting government policy. Wow, blows your mind away. The Tory leadership suggested that Number 10's desperation to present its policies as following the science means SAGE was given too much power to make decisions, and that this was a mistake. We shouldn't have empowered the scientists in the way we did, he said. I'll say that again. We shouldn't have empowered the scientists in the way we did, he said. And you have to acknowledge trade-offs from the beginning. If we'd done all of that, we could be in a different place now. We'd probably have made different decisions on things like schools. But the former director of communications in Number 10 during the pandemic, Lee Kane, said Mr Sunak was simply wrong. Well, of course they're going to, aren't they? He tweeted that it would have been morally irresponsible not to implement a lockdown in spring 2020, as the virus would have killed tens of thousands of people who survived COVID, and the NHS would have been overwhelmed, leading to an even greater battle of excess deaths from missed appointments. Bull. How about all the people who've killed themselves? What about all the people who've died of cancers and missed the treatments? Rubbish. That is again claiming the hysterical, appealing to the hysterical mob and the SAGE scientists who said thousands and thousands were going to die, and it never came into fruition, and it wouldn't have come into fruition, and it was recognised by Rishi Sunak. It comes as thousands of teenagers across the country are due to receive the GCSE results on Thursday, having their education disrupted for much of the past 2 years. Mr Sunak claims at times he became very emotional about the impact of closing schools, but that his concerns were met with silence from colleagues. He claimed he wasn't allowed to talk about his fears in public, and ministers were briefed on how to handle questions about the socio-economic impact of lockdown. He said the script was not to ever acknowledge them. The script was, oh, there's no trade-off, because doing this for our health is good for the economy. They don't care about your health, folks. They don't care about you dying. You've got to remember that, folks. There's a globalist depopulation agenda. Boris Johnson himself and his father have made comments, written in newspaper articles, and written books about depopulating the planet. And there would be better if there was less people on the planet. Given that you can fit the entire population in each state of the United States, and dependent upon which state you put them in, will be dependent upon how big the houses are and how big the swimming pools are. They don't give a damn about saving lives. They didn't give a damn about those committing suicide. They didn't give a damn about those who couldn't get the cancer treatment. Didn't give a damn about those who couldn't get their appointments at the doctors. Didn't give a damn about people who suffer in depression. Didn't give a damn about... I could list, it's endless, folks, and you know them yourselves. It's not about saving lives. It's about a narrative and an agenda, the Great Reset. Transhumanism, the digitalisation of humanity. That's where we're heading, folks. It's to get you into a digitalised system. Transhumanism. Certificate of vaccine identification. COVID. There it is, folks. That's what it is. Mr. Sunak, who resigned from Boris Johnson's government last month, said he didn't quit over his differences during the pandemic, because that would not have been responsible, given the crisis the nation faced. He said he is opening up now just because of the Tory leadership race, but because lessons must be learned on how important questions about lockdown's knock-on effect were never properly explored. He used the public were being scared by scientists, and the government helped shape that with the fear messaging. Wow. He said the public were being scared by scientists. I wasn't getting scared. Hey, you ain't scared of me, pal. And the government helped shape that with fear-mongering messaging. Not here. I was doing battle with you. Yes, I was prepared to stick my neck out, and I did, and I still will, because I'm right. I know I'm right. Rishi's right. He knows he's right. There are millions, no, there are 4 million of us who haven't had a single one of your jabs. You had a single one of your experimental jabs. And that is an experimental jab. It's still under trial. Check out National Library of Medicine, United States Library of Medicine, National Library of Medicine, clinicaltrials.org. You'll see it's still under trial, end of 2023. But even Billy Boy Gates himself said it should take 5 plus 10 plus years for any jab. And don't go throwing at me, oh, well, we put loads of money into it. Bull. You cannot see long-term side effects with the uses of other drugs, etc., on the population just by throwing money at it and shortening it. You need the long-term observance, okay? You need to observe these things on long term. Mr. Sunak has previously claimed he flew back from the US early to stop another lockdown being imposed when the Omicron variant spread last winter. Yes, the moronic variant. With just 2 weeks to go until a new Prime Minister is chosen, he is seeking to make up ground and rival Liz Truss, who he is trailing in the polls. His interview comes after allies of the Foreign Secretary attacked him for adopting a scorched earth policy that risks destroying the Conservative Party after he refused to say he would vote for her tax cuts, according to a report in the Times. A number of tone sources has defended the government's record on the pandemic. They said, throughout the pandemic, public health, education and the economy was central to the difficult decisions made on COVID restrictions to protect the British public from an unprecedented novel virus. 99 plus survived it, and they knew that. They knew that from the start. 2 weeks to flatten the curve. At every point, ministers made collective decisions which considered a wide range of expert advice available at the time in order to protect public health. The UK government spent over $400 billion to support people, families and their livelihoods throughout our response to the pandemic, which included the fastest life-saving vaccine rollout in life-saving... I'm sorry, Omicron came mild variant. Come on, they're still pushing this junk. But anyway, the point of this video and the point of this article is to show Rishi Sunak clearly, in his own words, new lockdowns and the way they impose them with the fear mongering was something that shouldn't have happened. Whatever his motives are now for coming out with this, even though he did stand up at the time, but he was silenced, he was cancelled. Whatever his motives, fair play, Rishi, lad. Fair play.